Hello, people. Welcome back to another video by your good friend Chad Marco. Make sure you kamehameha the like button and let's have a conversation. I was on ADV, and full transparency, I made a thread knowing that I would cause a disruption. Right, so I went to and I might show off some of the thread later on in the video, but the OP said, would it ruin a relationship to demand a paternity test for every pregnancy? And if you know anything about ADV is normie central, and they have I think probably one of the boards with the most amount of girls there too. And so obviously posting that there, I was bound to start some shit, but the thread ended up hitting the bump limit. Like it was a big debate about men getting paternity tests. And you guys know my stance. I believe that a man should get a paternity test every time, no matter what. I don't care if you're the last man and woman on earth, get a DNA test. I don't care if she's never left your sight since the day you met her, get a DNA test. I don't care if the baby looked just like you, and I mean just like you, get a DNA test, right? And but there are obviously there are some people who think that a man should just don't get a paternity test. Trust your woman and leave it to chance. Now, obviously, I disagree with that, but we're going to get into the thread to see some of the different arguments. But before I get into it, I want to quote Coach Greg Adams on something, because I think that what he says really lines up with this discussion. And he always says that women are in business and men are in love.
This topic, men are the true romantics. Men are the true lovers when it comes to this romance game, and I'm going to tell you why. The subheading is something I coined called Men Are in Love, Women Are in Business. If you're any other content creator, say that. They got that for sure from CGA. Men are in love, women are in business. We're going to break down why it is the men who are the true romantics. And I'm going to also tell you, this is almost always not a good thing. It's not a good thing, and I'm going to tell you why later on in the show.
And so what does that have to do with the whole paternity test thing? And seeing the different arguments really made me think of what he was saying there. And because when you look at the issue of paternity, what their argument basically is that based on love, based on romance, based on our relationship, you should not feel the need to verify or to get a paternity test. You should just blindly trust me, right? I would say it's unfair for a woman to say that, one, because they always know the child is theirs because it comes out of them. A man, we are the ones who are victims of paternity fraud. But on the other end too, look at marriage, right? What is marriage for a woman? Whether they'll admit it or not, two of the most appealing aspects of marriage is the wedding and the security. Just like Patrice O'Neal says, women want that security, man. That's why they want to get married. And so when I say security, that's the business end of it, right? Because whether women will vocalize it or say it out loud or not, the fact that they know I married this man, and just in case it doesn't work out, if we break up, if there's a divorce, I know that I'm going to be financially compensated for the years and the efforts that I put into their relationship. Women know that their bodies, their youth, their beauty is a commodity on the dating market. And so when they commit themselves to a man, that man is getting that commodity. But if it doesn't work out, it's a diminishing commodity, right? And so they want to be financially compensated. And that's what Coach Greg Adams was saying when he say women are in business, men are in love, men are in romance. And I think this discussion is the perfect example of that, because women are always going to gaslight and try to shame men for wanting to get a paternity test, because they want you to be the romantic. They want you to be the one that's in blind love. But I'll tell you this right now, how many women would take a man's word on him saying, look, if we break up, I'll give you X amount of money. We ain't gotta get married. We don't need no marriage contract. Look, I promise. Right? Most women would say hell no. Why? Because they go into the relationship with a certain degree of distrust. They go into the relationship wanting protection, wanting security. And that's really what the paternity test is for a man. I think that the difference, though, is that for men, we have to take matters into our own hands. And that puts us in the unfortunate position of having to vocalize our distrust. The woman is protected during the marriage process, right? Oh, we're getting married. On the surface, it's about the love and the romance and all this shit. But on the back end, there's paperwork, there's contracts, there's if this or that happens, you end up going to court. You're legally obligated to do certain things. We don't have that kind of protection. And so we have to actually vocalize our distrust or vocalize our desire to just have some level of verification for paternity. And having a kid is arguably that's the biggest investment that most men are ever going to make in their lives, in terms of the investment of money, time, effort, and energy, emotionally. And to be shamed to be shamed for just wanting to know that your investment is secure is just absolutely ridiculous. But let's look a little bit into this thread here. So as you can see, as you can see, it got 311 replies. It hit the bump limit. I mean, it was pretty crazy. So I said, would it ruin a relationship to demand a paternity test for every pregnancy? I think this first guy was trolling, but this guy here says, you should only have kids with someone you trust. Remember that word. Do not contribute to more fucked up people. They all end up trans, black, leftist, etc. How do you end up black? How do you end up black? I was born white and ended up black. But this is a word that you're going to see very often. I don't know. I can't go through the whole thread because it's too long for this video. But if you can find it in the ADV archives, maybe it's still there. But man, it was a crazy thread. But so this guy here, Pedro Sama, he was a regular in the thread. He says no, but you have to establish it prior while she's still your girlfriend, and make her understand that it has nothing to do with her personally. It's just that women always know the child is theirs. Men do not know. Men can only believe due to the biological limitation that men don't carry children. So in theory, any other man could have impregnated her, except DNA testing technology allows men to have the same certainty that women naturally have always had. And that you asked for the test for any woman whatsoever who would have a child with you, not just her in particular. Make sure she understands you'll never make a fuss about it and would do the test as discreetly as possible from your own pocket, since it's in your best interest. Kind of like a standard medical testing. If she throws a tantrum, you already know she isn't above committing paternity fraud. If it so happens that she gets pregnant by her side guy, not that she's planning on doing it, but if she gets super mad, that means she's 100% could do it. I see it as a filter to dump her and find a better girl. So I agree with this guy. I think that, it's something that you should have a discussion about with a girl. Because I think if she's reasonable, she'll understand where you're coming from. Because one thing you'll see people say throughout the thread is, why are you with her if you don't trust her? And this, that, and dude, so many men have ended up raising a child that's not theirs because of that trust. The unfortunate reality is that sometimes the people you trust the most will do you the dirtiest. The people you thought were your friends will stab you in the back. Everyone from family members to friends, lovers, etc. It's ugly. I get it, but I think it's necessary. It kind of reminds me of when celebrities make women sign non-disclosure agreements and stuff like that. And again, you're going into a relationship or into some sort of arrangement with somebody, and there's already contracts and all this shit on the table, but it's necessary because sometimes people will just do you dirty. But the other thing too, though, like I will say, I can understand why a woman would take it the wrong way, because obviously they're going to be like, oh, you think I'm cheating on you? Right? But what they have to understand is that it's really for our own protection, because if we don't do it, no one's going to do it for us. And again, why do guys end up raising children that aren't theirs? It's because of that trust. In this situation, it's better to verify than to trust. Oh, and then he goes on to say, only men are gaslit into having blind faith on women. No one in their right mind would advise women to have such blind faith in their partners. And see, again, women are in business, men are in love. And again, I think it's an example of how somehow I think we as men have just been sold on this certain idea of what romance in a relationship should be. And this whole idea of blind love and blind trust, don't protect yourself, don't secure your investments. These are all expectations that are placed upon us when women themselves are protected at every angle in their relationship, if you really look at it. And so this guy says women get irrationally upset by paternity tests. If you can get one in secret, that would be best. And I saw a few guys saying that in the thread too. Like, look, do it, but do it on the low. Do it, but do it on the low. I mean, look, if that's how you got to work it, then fine. But me personally, I think it would be best to just go ahead and have the conversation, because you're really trying to see where her mind is at. If she can even understand why she shouldn't take it personally. And so, yeah, and then this guy says, why not test the kid yourself behind her back? What's she going to do? Sue you for the test? At worst, she cheated on you, and thus you fought a giant lie with a little trickery. And at best, you just keep this under wraps. And this guy says, paternity test for every pregnancy should be standard. And I agree. If it was a standard, then men wouldn't have to, have this uncomfortable conversation. And so I'm assuming this sounds like something a girl would say. Would it ruin a relationship if a woman put data sniffers on her boyfriend's home to track all his movements and communications? Would it ruin a relationship if the woman ordered the man to never ever speak to other women or be alone with them ever? So this is an example of how people try to exaggerate what you're doing to try to make it look bad, right? I'm not trying to condone living in constant fear and paranoia of your significant other cheating on you or doing something. Quite frankly, that's just no way to live. I think sometimes in life, we do have to let our guards down and just let people do what they will, because you can't control and dictate everything. When you try to do that, you end up making yourself unhappy. That's why doing stuff like this is such a bad idea. But the difference between getting a paternity test is that, one, the stakes are astronomically higher, right? I can live with getting cheated on, like whatever. Right now, some people they can't, but I could live with that. I could not live and could not accept raising another man's child. That's a completely different thing. And like I said, it's a much bigger risk because it's the biggest investment of your life, financially, emotionally, time, all that. And the fact is, you can secure your investment with a simple test that only takes a few days. So you can't really compare this to the constant paranoia and the effort of trying to day by day meticulously prevent your partner from cheating on you. That's self-destructive behavior. But getting a simple paternity test is not. You can get the test and you know for the rest of your life. In fact, it's the exact opposite of the self-destructive behavior of a jealous, suspicious, significant other. Because whether men will admit it or not, I'm telling you, it's guys out there, they look at their child and they say, that nigga don't really look like me. I'm telling you, I know. It's men out there that look at their kids and they second guess, like, he don't look like me. She don't look like me. And when you hear stories about guys who got a test years later, right, way down the line, it was because of that doubt, the sneaking suspicions that was gnawing and wait. Again, that's the paranoia. That's the self-destructive level of paranoia and distrust. What I'm presenting is, look, let's just get a test. we get the test. It's done in a few days, and then boom, you know for the rest of your life that this is your child. And so this person says, nah, the kind of slag whore that would marry an insecure loser like that knew he was an insecure loser and is well aware she's a slag whore he had to settle for. So this is someone just throwing around shaming language. Oh my God. You should be better than this. I mean, I get it. I can't imagine being a sort of low value, insecure, socially anxious loser that had no confidence in his ability to secure a woman's loyalty. That must be a hellish existence, spending your life grappling with the fact that you are always a last resort. Just like someone on welfare shouldn't be ashamed to accept cash charity, you need to understand your place in life and don't be ashamed of the fact no woman truly wants you, especially to be a father of their children, and just move on the best you can. So this is another thing that you would see throughout the thread. There was a lot of, this is basically the virgin loser shaming, right? And, but the line that stands out to me though, socially anxious loser that had no confidence in his ability to secure a woman's loyalty. That's one of the biggest traps that men fall into. This is the ego trap. This is the, I got the magic stick. I run these hoes. I control my bitches. It don't happen. Some guys run it like that. But a lot of guys have made the mistake of thinking that they can secure a woman's loyalty, and then they get stabbed in the back, and then the woman takes no accountability, no apologies, or none of that shit. I've seen so many women caught cheating, caught paternity test videos, and no apologies, no sorry, no accountability. But the man the whole time thinking that, oh, I'm in control. I got my girl, she ride or die. It happens, but I say get the DNA test. Whether you a socially anxious beta loser cuck or the alpha Chad, get the DNA test. You have nothing to lose. Get the DNA test. Depends on the girl. This person says, depends on the girl. I've offered it to my husband that once we have kids, we could get them DNA tested. He looked at me and said, LOL, you're not cheating on me. Don't worry about it. I know it's a big thing for the male never truly knowing unless tested. I wouldn't date and have kids with someone who didn't trust that I'm carrying his child. In general, I think it should be standard practice in every hospital, though, taking the awkward conversation out of the parents' hands. That's why once the baby is born, everyone says, oh my God, they look like the dad's name so much, socially reassuring the father that it's his baby because he's not the one to carry it. That last part, man, she was really putting us onto like the inner workings of female game and the hive mind. Oh, it looks so much like you. But listen to what she said, though. She said something weird. I offered it to my husband that once we have kids, we can get them DNA tests. Then she says, I know it's a big thing for the male never truly knowing unless tested. I wouldn't date and have kids with someone who didn't trust that I'm carrying his child. So wait, if you wouldn't date and have kids with someone who didn't trust that you're carrying his child, why did she ask him if he wanted to get DNA tested? Was that a shit? I think she shit tested her husband and didn't even realize it. Didn't even realize, like, she was just like throwing it out there, like, he better not say he want one. He better not say I want to. Oh man, but he should get a DNA test. This person says it is accusing her of cheating, so any woman who never cheated on you would leave since it's a serious accusation. Sounds like you aren't ready for an actual relationship or marriage if you have trust issues that serious. And then the person under him says, if you distrust your women that much, then you should not be marrying her. This is an incel post anyways, because only an incel will waste time with these hypotheticals. You know, again, the virgin shaming. But let me tell you, it's like what my friend said. You know, he was in a toxic relationship and I was giving him advice. I was giving him all the game and all the wisdom. And he wouldn't take it to heart and listen to me. And only recently he started coming around to the red pill and listening to all these guys that I've been known about for years. And I'm like, dude, I've been telling you this shit. Why you ain't listening to me? And then he was like, in so many words, he basically said that because I'm a virgin and because I don't get bitches, he never took my advice seriously. Right. And so what I'm saying is, I think that, you know, look, it's fair. You want to call me out for being an inexperienced okay. But that does not mean that I'm wrong, because it's just like his issues in his relationship is not something that's unique or specific to dealing with women. It's a universal issue, and it's the issue of respect. If you're a man and you stand on respect with everybody you deal with, a girl can't do the things to you that she did to him. And it's the same thing when it comes to paternity. Paternity goes back to the simple understanding that friends, family, lovers can backstab and betray you. You need to understand this. There are real deceitful predator type people out there. So how do you protect yourself from that? And you got to find a balance between, you know, loving and trusting the people you're around, but also protecting yourself. Look, I love my mom. I love my mom to death. But would I blindly trust her on anything, on any subject, any situation? No, because she's not perfect. I'm not perfect, right? It could happen where a girl that seems to be trustworthy, by all accounts, ends up, and look, let's not even throw her under the bus. It was a real mistake. She got drunk, just so drunk, girls' night out, and she legitimately just let some guy eat eat the box. I don't know. We are fallible creatures. People make mistakes. And so I think, you know, just this guy here saying sounds like you aren't ready for an actual relationship or marriage. I guarantee you he said that thinking that he's on this high horse of maturity and reality, and he's the exact opposite. He's a fool. People who talk like this are straight up fools. I'm telling you, because they will sit here and ignore the simple reality that I don't care if it's your wife, your child, your father, your friend, the nigga down the street. Anybody can betray you. You need to protect yourself. I'm not saying live in constant fear, but when it comes to what's most important, do not leave it to chance. Just don't do it. You know, it's like my best friend. I love this nigga, right? Let's just say, hypothetically, right? Let's say he has a record company and he wants to sign me. Now, I basically grew up with this guy. Now, what would I do? Are we going to get a contract where I know what I'm going to get and what my obligation is to his company? Or are we going to just shake on it, right? You're going to get a contract despite your history, despite what you know about him, despite all that. When it comes to things that matter, when big money, big investments are on the line, people sign contracts. People want paperwork. Paperwork. It's like when you see rappers and artists signing their friends and shit, you don't see them just shaking on it. You see them get a chain and they sign a white piece of contract. You need that paperwork. So anytime where there's big money or a big investment on the line, that's the one time you need all that trust, love, romance, put it to the homies, put it to the side, verify, get a contract, validate, confirm, confirmation. That's the time to put all that bullshit to the side. And that's why I say men should always get a paternity test. Even, I don't care how small the statistic, whatever, get the test. And I guarantee you'll feel better. Just know, like, I don't even understand how guys can accept not knowing for sure. If I got a DNA slip paper, whatever you call it, and saw that I'm the father, I'd be like, yes, damn. My DNA, I copied my DNA into the earth, into the future. Right? Like, I know, like, it's like to me, I feel like the getting the DNA test papers back would be the equivalent of having a baby come out of you. Like, look, she's holding the baby, I'm holding the paper. Oh man, but seriously though, man, you ain't gotta believe in me. Again, I'm Mr. Virgin. What do I know? But on principle, I think all men should get a DNA test. I wish that we didn't have to take matters into our own hands, but I just think that's, you got to. And my last point too, because if you can find this thread, again, you're gonna see so many people talking about trust this, trust that, but I gotta be honest, I don't even think that's it. I think like the fucked up part of it is that if there was a law, like if they were trying to push forward a law where paternity tests were mandatory, like in order for the man to sign the birth certificate, do you really think women in general would be okay with that? Think about that. Do you really think they would be for that, or would there be like some outrage or right? And even, I don't know exactly how the law works, but it's something like this. In France, getting a paternity test as a man is illegal. Like, France is the most cucked country in the world. You can't even get a DNA test as the man. So come on. And again, they'll talk about trust and all this shit, but I guarantee you, if they made it mandatory, they wouldn't want that either. Because unfortunately, I just think there's a part of not all, but a lot of women's mind where they like having they like having a way out. They like knowing that they can get over or get out of certain situations, and they're not going to act outside of their best interest. It's in a woman's best interest that men don't get paternity tests. It's in their best interest that paternity tests are not mandatory. And I think part of the rage and the disagreement about this topic comes from just not wanting to act out of their best interest. But I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I will see you on the next one. So, Chat Marco, offline.